So I finally went to Tokyo Disneyland and I wanted to see if the happiest place on earth felt different on the other side of the world. So what made me decide to visit Tokyo Disneyland in the first place? I went because my friend that had cancer wanted to visit Tokyo in general and brought me to go along. So I was very blessed and thankful to be able to visit Tokyo, but not only that, had the time to visit Tokyo Disneyland. And it was the best thing ever. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm going to Tokyo Disneyland for my first time. And I was able to visit. And at first I was a little worried because I was thinking, wow, if I'm going to Tokyo Disneyland, how in the world am I gonna get around? I don't speak Japanese. Is this gonna work out? Is the transportation easy to get there? And everything along with those thoughts that came to my mind, it all worked out in the end, which was very, very great. And I'll tell you how it all worked out. It was easy, and it's easy for English speakers just like me and you. It was surprisingly cute, and I fell in love with everything about Tokyo Disney. So how did I picture it compared to the US parks? Oh my gosh, I will tell you that it is way, way different than the US parks. It is beautiful, it's well maintained. I think the designs, I think Japan had so much money in it that they put so much effort to make Tokyo Disney just the prettiest park that there ever is. The merch is different, and I was so shocked to see all the cute merch that you don't really see in the US. Just the styles, the kawaii-ness, just the anime looking characters, and I think that you will have a crazy shock. I guess it's called culture shock, but in a different way when you go there to Tokyo Disney, because it is insane. I think US parks are nice. I think it might be a little more crowded and less organized. But the ones in Tokyo Disneyland felt more, the Japanese were obsessed. I don't know what it is, but Japanese are so obsessed with shopping for Disney merch. They always look for the merch very often, but also not only that, if there's something like really exclusive or they're waiting in line for something, they're all lined up to go wait for something like a food or like merch that came out or just things like that. It's so interesting to see when I see that, because it just goes to show that they're as obsessed as US people too. So this wasn't really my first time visiting Japan. I actually visited Japan the first time with my mom, and that was back in 2019. And I actually won a trip to Japan on a game show called Let's Make a Deal.
Tiffany, what's behind curtain number 2? Anime, cosplay, otaku.
A trip!
It's a trip to Tokyo!
You're going to Tokyo!
And it was crazy because I went for like a whole week and they gave me a place to stay, transportation, which is the flight and everything of that jazz. So that was great. I never got to go to Tokyo Disney for some reason because I wasn't really as Disney obsessed back then, which is kind of sad, but that changed. So how did it feel landing in Tokyo, Japan, while knowing that Disney was part of the trip? I was really, really excited because I knew for a fact that I couldn't miss out on Tokyo Disney, because the first time I went to Japan, I didn't get to go to it, and I was thinking the first time that, oh, you know, like the lines are pretty long and this and that, and I had all these thoughts and I just didn't make that thought, I didn't make the decision, and it was kind of lame. But this time it was a promise that I was gonna experience Tokyo Disneyland, and knowing that I was in Tokyo in itself was just amazing. I loved it, and not only that, I got to bring my friend that had cancer and go to Tokyo Disneyland with me. Having my friend, it was great because I got to show my friend around, and my friend had a disability, but not only that, I couldn't really experience all of Tokyo Disneyland because I really had to prioritize helping my friend get around the parks, because my friend actually had to ride one of those motor disability bikes, so I had to help my friend push my friend and stay with my friend, so I couldn't go to all the things in Tokyo Disneyland. But in the next video I did go to all the things in Tokyo Disney Sea, but I just mainly prioritized my friend first, so that's the only thing I will say about that. And maybe next time I'll experience all of the Tokyo Disneyland part, because I didn't, but I will tell you a lot about my experience because it was the greatest experience no matter what. So the transportation, that one was the crazy part, but it was managed. And since I had my first time experience in Japan already and learned how to get around with the trains, I used that knowledge to the time I went again in Tokyo. So I don't really remember where I stayed in central Tokyo to get to the Disney parks. I was actually staying, if I remember, it was like close to Haneda Airport, I think, and it was near the Tokyo Lab area where they have all the immersive experiences. I think it was like really close by there. So we basically took the train. So the train took like different routes, I think transferred to different trains, but we made sure we had to wake up really, really early. And waking up early because I had to get ready, and I know that trains start really early too, so we had to get there early because we wanted to experience most of the parks as much as we can. So we ate at a Tokyo Denny's, and that was really, really nice in the beginning of the day. Denny's is a whole different Denny's when you go to Japan, and it was so nice to get that energy beforehand. But not only that, we had to take our energy drinks, and we had to go to, a 7-Eleven, but I forgot what it's called in Japanese. But when you go in there, we had to get like something to drink that would make us feel energized and then go to the parks. But other than that, really going through the transportations was really easy because you kind of have to look through an app to see where you go in the routes and like the transfers and everything, but it's super, super easy. And at first I was like really, really, really nervous, but I was like, okay, this is okay, we're gonna do it, it's gonna be self-explanatory. But all throughout the time it was easy and nothing terrible what I remembered happened. But it was very nerve-wracking because every time transportation like that can get really nerve-wracking and you have to use your brain, but it's crowded. It can get scary when when you miss trains or you don't know the name sometimes and you just have to ask around. But we got to Tokyo Disney that way. What was funny throughout the ride was me and my friend, I was dressed really cutely, which I was really happy about, and I think it caused a little bit of attention. And I noticed that the older folks kind of like look at you a little weird, just a little weird, just the older folks mainly, but the kids are so cute, but they're like young. This is funny, but I really got attention from the younger folks because they thought I was cute. But other than that, I remember them being so excited. I think they were going to Tokyo Disneyland too, but they looked like they were probably, because I didn't see them get out of the train to Maihama Station, which is the Disneyland train station. But I remember just seeing people like getting so excited still, and when they saw a pretty girl, they would be just like, oh, look at that. I can understand a little bit Japanese, and I heard some people say some things like kawaii, kawaii. I can tell it was just kind of cute, and it made me so happy. But it's so cute when I see like happy Japanese people. There's something about that makes me so like, oh, my heart. But that's what I remember hearing from in their Japanese little language. I remember, oh my gosh, so getting on the way to the parks, you get to go from the line wherever you take that you make sure that it gets to Maihama Station. And I can't be clear in detail because I don't have that kind of map of a brain to follow, or I'm just not that type of person. But we got to Maihama Station. I just remember seeing it with the sunrise and seeing Space Mountain from the outside of the train, because you can see the park as you're going in. My breath was I just couldn't breathe because I was just breathless. It was the happiest thing for me. We arrived at Maihama Station, and it was like so exciting. But I will tell you this, when you step out of that station, it's kind of, in the morning it's not that bad, like with the weather, it's fine. But when you get during the midday, it was really hot because I was there in July. When I was there in Tokyo, I think I was like in the beginning of July or during July, and that was weather gets really, really, really hot. So if you really, really want to go to the parks, this is kind of good information. But the park gates open around 8 a.m. but lines start forming about by 6:30 to 7 a.m. and I was not early enough for that time because I was more focused on prioritizing my friend that had a disability, and I wanted my friend to experience Tokyo Disneyland as a whole. I love Tokyo Disneyland, but I can't leave my friend like that. But I just remember that being a thing, and I had to get ready. It took me a while to get to the park this time, because usually I have really good time management and I would usually go super early. I would have gone at 8 a.m. but I couldn't because of that thing that I was prioritizing. And I got in makeup, so I feel like we got to the Tokyo Disneyland around 11. That's what I remember. Still, it was a great experience. So there's a Disney Resort line, and this is something that you can go on if you're trying to transfer parks, but I didn't go on that day because I was only going to Tokyo Disneyland Park that day. And it's a monorail that connects from Maihama to Disneyland and then Tokyo Disney Sea and on-site hotels. So all throughout that monorail, I mean, you can basically go to your hotel or something if you stay at a hotel. It's crazy because I have not seen the hotel yet or anything, but that monorail is super, super convenient, and it's super great if you're going to connect to Tokyo Disney Sea, I think the same day of. But I didn't do that. It's good to do one park a day. So this is interesting. When I went into the parks finally and I got to go after transportation, I was so excited. But me and my friend, we had to do a process throughout, going through a line first, and that had to take a while, and we had to go in the outside line it was kind of a disaster because of the weather, but still we were patient enough to go inside the parks. And my friend had to get the disability, that little motorbike thing, and we had to get that first. So that took an extra time to do, but that's okay. Going inside, just seeing the Tokyo Disneyland sign was the coolest thing ever for me, because I saw it through vlogs, I saw it through people's videos, and for me getting to see it was the craziest thing for me. And getting to see the characters too, like getting to say hi, and the families with their babies, and a lot of the Japanese were like, oh, kawaii, like, oh my gosh, like the way they act, so cute. And I just couldn't believe my eyes seeing like everyone's outfits and seeing all of the atmosphere in Tokyo Disneyland. You could see that there's like this shade before you go in Main Street. It's not called Main Street in Tokyo Disneyland, what I remember, but if you go in that main street, it is so cute and it's shaded. It's beautiful because the main street looks like they have tall buildings like you do in the US, but just the feeling itself is just the craziest that I've ever experienced, really. And I remember seeing this was kind of interesting, but I remember seeing these Japanese girls hanging out together. I'm like, I wonder if they came back from school or something, because I saw their outfits and they're wearing school out, like the plaid skirt, you know, something that you wear to school, and they were very, you know, synchronized with the other girls with their outfits. So I was thinking, oh, they probably came from school and they probably ditched class or something, and they wore their Disney ears. And I remember I needed to go to the bathroom, and I saw this girl put on press-on nails like last minute. I'm like, girl, like it's just like they wanted to put so much effort to look cute for Disneyland, and I love to see that. And the fact that I saw these like Japanese schoolgirls, it was cute too, because they just probably came back from school or something, because you usually don't wear your uniform to Disneyland, right? It probably is because they came after school, and they were so young and it looked like they loved Disneyland, so I was just so happy to see that. I remember seeing some of the monuments in front of the main street, and that one was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I see these in videos, and I was there, and it was cute. I felt like the guests were more polite, and it was nice. Like crowds weren't like rude. It wasn't like how you were maybe in the US, maybe a little crazier, I don't know. But I remember kind of just seeing, I don't know, I just feel like they're a little more quieter. That's one thing I do notice, and that's nothing wrong because that is the culture of Japan, right? I just remember going on some rides and probably just like going out to wait for food or things like that, and they're just a little more quieter, and they, you know, on the rides especially. But there were times that there were some crazy Japanese screaming their lungs out in some of the rides too as well. But that one was more of Disney Sea, because Disney Sea has more crazier rides. But that's for the next video. But in Disneyland, it's like, oh my gosh, it's the cutest thing ever. But it's nice to see everyone be happy. That's all I could say. I think one thing that kind of stood out to me that I was like, oh wow, that's kind of uniquely Japanese. And this is something that you won't really get at the US parks. But I felt like it was more of the merch. Something that I felt like that stood out to me was just mainly like the kawaii merch, and then that's just the most thing you'll see. But also the monuments that I notice in Tokyo Disney, I don't know what it is, but they're statues or the displays. The style is more cuter than it is in the US, and it's so weird to think about because it looks more Japanese for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it. Here is some quick facts that I wanted to bring up for Disney. So weekends at Japan for Tokyo Disney and Japanese holidays are extremely busy. Weekdays are lighter. So Tokyo Disneyland averages 40K to 50K visitors per day. Spring, March through May, and Halloween seasons are the busiest. What I did, and this is something that I didn't mention, is that I downloaded the Tokyo Disney Resort app, and it was very helpful to see wait lines and mobile order foods, which I don't really like to do mobile order. I kind of like to go in and just get the food. I don't know, I just don't speak Japanese, so I felt like everything was easier when you kind of just do it in person. So I mainly just went off of that, really. So I did mention that I went to at least 2 rides out of all of Tokyo Disneyland, and I will tell you the reason why I didn't go to any other rides. Honestly, the other rides didn't. To me, I didn't really care so much, but also I cared more about my friend to have the experience at Tokyo Disneyland that had a disability. So yes, I couldn't go to a lot of rides, but I still enjoyed it. Pretty much went to the Haunted Mansion ride, and that was the first one. But if you guys are wondering, how does that feel different from the other parks? Well, yes, the language is different, but it seems more happier that I've noticed with the language in Japanese language at the Haunted Mansion, because Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride. And they have a different castle for that one, but still it was just like a very cool experience because it felt more longer, if I remember it right. That's just how I remember it. But also I remember being outside of the Haunted Mansion ride, and I noticed that there's parades along that path throughout that part of the park. But this was kind of interesting that I noticed stood out to me than the Disney parks. So yes, the rides were different, but outside of the ride of Haunted Mansion was different a little bit, but outside of the Haunted Mansion ride was this pathway. This was interesting, but people just kind of picnicked out there, or it looks like they were picnicking out there. In Tokyo, it seems like they're okay with that in the Disney park, so that was really, really interesting. And I remember people like just laying like some tarp or some fabric on the floor to lay on, and they just kind of had their umbrellas and just sitting there just normally, and it was just a few people doing that. So I was just like, okay, that's pretty interesting. That's something you don't see at the Disney park, so that stood out to me a lot. And I noticed there was a Disney ear that kind of fell off, and it was one of those little aliens from the Pizza Planet. It was like those as ears, and it was on the ground, and I found it. But my friend said just leave it there. I think someone might find it and like get it back again. So I was like, oh, I kind of want this. But at the end of the day, I kind of just left it back there on the ground. So who knows? But no one was really grabbing that on the floor. And I think if I remember, Tokyo is very good at not like taking things that are just kind of out there in the open, and they kind of just leave it there for a long time. And I mean, that's just how Tokyo is. Like no one really steals there. But that was just kind of interesting that I've seen it there for the longest time. So that's also kind of interesting as well. But also there's this guy with puppeteers, and he was just really happy, and he seemed like he normally does that at the park, or maybe he's been to the park normally and probably does it all the time. But he was like waving at me with it. It was really, really cute, and he had Mickey little puppets, and it was so cute. I've never seen such joyful Japanese people. One thing that also stood out to me, and I saw walking around that path, is that people had a lot of keychains on their bags, a lot of plushy light looking keychains just all stacked together in their bags, and it makes me like, it puts like a hole in my chest, in a beautiful type of hole, not an ugly hole, but it's not a dark hole. But that was the cutest thing ever. So I will tell you with the second ride that I went on, and that one's my most favorite memorable ride experience, was I had to go on this ride because I did a lot of my research, and I made sure I had to go on this one because you're not gonna get this in other theme parks of other Disney theme parks. And I went to the Beauty and the Beast ride with Belle and the Beast dancing together. I wanted to cry so bad, and I don't know if I should skip to the story later, but my friend that had cancer died in the future. in the far future after Tokyo Disneyland. So it puts a memory in my head where he remembered that ride the most, and I'm just really happy that I took my friend on that ride and my friend loved that ride the most, and I'll always remember that. And whenever I'll go on that ride, I'll always remember my friend. And that's gonna about to make me cry because it's true. Like, yes, I only went to 2 rides, but my friend will always remember that ride the most, and it makes me happy. Yeah, I'm gonna cry, but that ride was outstanding and I couldn't believe it. I saw my friend look at the whole ride like in awe, and I remember him telling all his friends about it, and I could see the light glow on my friend's face, and that ride was my favorite as well. And I can see why, because it has to do with the beautiful music, it had to do with the beautiful scenery. It was just like beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say, but it was the best thing ever, and I will probably show a little clip of it because it really did give a really lasting memory for me. Let's talk about the castle, because the castle was a little more overwhelming than I expected at all. I've been to Disney World's castle, and yes, that was overwhelming. That was the first time I ever saw that castle. It was crazy because it was huge. But when you go to Tokyo Disney, that was even especially as crazy as Disney World's. So I was kind of confused as to which one was bigger, but I couldn't even tell. Tokyo Disney's was incredible. So I have to look into that. When I first saw it, it was beautiful. I couldn't keep my eyes off of it, and I took so many pictures in front of it. And I remember seeing these girls in front of me trying to take a picture, and I remember they asked me to take their picture, and they were super sweet, and they looked like they weren't from Tokyo because they were speaking in English. And they were just like, oh, they gave me like this digital camera. I was like, okay, because we don't have those little square digital cameras anymore. We always use our phone, right? But they gave me a digital camera, and they were in these cute outfits. And you know, Tokyo Disney is so pastel-y, and there's something about their aesthetic that is cute, and they look like they matched that aesthetic, and I was like so happy to take their picture. So that was the cutest thing ever. And I did some videos and some like cute shots in front of it. I just had to, because if I didn't, I would probably regret my life, because that was my first time at Tokyo Disney. So if you're at your first time at Tokyo Disney, you have to take pictures. You have to take pictures of the castle in front of it, and you have to take as much pictures as you can, because you're not gonna get it at the US parks for sure. So the food and the snacks were pretty interesting. It was just probably like the normal dishes you'd probably see at the parks, the normal Disney. But I will have to say, there were some foods that were unique, and I don't remember what I really ate, but I remember eating at the place. There was like a food cafe near Belle's Castle. I think it's Belle's Castle, or it's the Beast Castle. Beauty and the Beast. I would say the cast members are super nice, and they're super efficient. So when you order something, they will serve it and you will get your food right away. But also, is it like busier than the other parks in Disney Anaheim's or any of the parks in the US? Yes, it is busy, but it's kind of organized. Like, people are super polite. They'll sit down in their seats, and you'll see seats everywhere. There's gonna be seats for everyone, and yeah, like maybe you might not find a seat there, but there's a lot of places where you can sit, so that's really great. Here's some interesting facts and tips. Try flavored popcorn, and there's soy sauce, butter, curry, and honey flavored popcorn. That is crazy. I didn't know that at all. And there's bento styled meals, and themed desserts are super popular at Tokyo Disney, which I did not really try, and I saw them. What they do is they display the items in front too as well, like just physical displays, and that's something I noticed in the parks, so that was really nice. So if you're interested in trying to look for really good looking food, you're gonna see some displays, so that's gonna help a lot. There's many guests bring souvenir popcorn buckets. It's huge part of local culture, and that's something you'll see around the parks, so that's really cute. So for first timers, and I wanted to give some tips for first timers, but really, I will tell you this. Tokyo Disney is crazy and it's great for people who are tourists, but also it is cheap. I will say my experience has been amazing. Like the park ticket was super cheap. I only purchased it on this other website, Klook. I think it's Klook, but you pay it online and it's a park ticket and it was super cheap, like $60 for a ticket, for a day ticket. And that was so cool that I was able to purchase a Disney park ticket for $60, because in America you're gonna have to buy a ticket for around $100 or $200, and that's never fun. But not only that, you get to ride a train to get to the park as well, so parking is not an issue at all, so you won't have to worry about that. And I was really happy. I was really satisfied. So just know that if it's your first time going to Tokyo Disney, it's going to be pretty cheap. I think food might be a little more expensive and then merch, but then just going to the parks, just getting a ticket, it is crazy. But also not only that, I will say, for a first timer, what I learned is that you definitely want to come as early as you possibly can, like maybe rope drop, and experience all of Tokyo Disney that way, because you want to get back to the trains before 12, because that's when trains close during the end of the day. But I think the parks, stay until late, or it's a good amount of time, but you have to get back to wherever you need to go back to. It depends where you are staying in Tokyo, central Tokyo or anything like that. Trains are always on time, yes, but you always gotta make sure you get back to where you're going. So that's something, as a first timer, I will give that to you for sure. But you won't have a problem because it's Tokyo, and Tokyo's transportation are super organized. Just know that you have to get back in time or else you're gonna get stuck. My value with going to Disney as a first timer, because like I said, my situation was I was taking care of my friend with disability, so I cared more about my friend's experience as well. And as a first timer, all I cared was mainly just the rides that I'm never gonna ride ever again, or never gonna ever experience. So I focused more on the unique rides, the most unique rides. Really, and all the other rides are like rides I've kind of just been in America, and those are the same, and I didn't really care much about those. But I will say, rides usually don't give me a shock, but the one that I did go to for the Beauty and the Beast one, that one gave me the most shock. That's why I would suggest you as a first timer, if your values is to go on all the rides, get up really early until I think they have a rope drop for the park. But if that's the case, yes, go as early as the rope drop. Okay, let's read some quick tips. So arrive 60-90 minutes early for rope drop, so that's great. And then download the Tokyo Disney Resort app beforehand. English is supported, by the way. That will help you buy a lot. Bring cash or Suica card. Not all kiosks take foreign cards. So that's really interesting. You can use Suica card. Just make sure you put money into the Suica card, because I've used Suica card kind of like for trains, transportations, and I also used it for what's it called? I was gonna say in Japanese, but now I can't remember what it's called. Like the stores, like 7-Elevens, and just buy food with it. So those were super helpful with Suica cards. And the lines move super fast, by the way. Guests rarely cut or crowd. Yeah, because I remember it being really fast. It's super efficient. They are organized, so you'll get to rides pretty fast. And I just remember it being so amazingly well with that. And bring an umbrella. A lot of people are bringing an umbrella because it's pretty hot. I think during certain seasons, and a poncho, that's what some people wear. Tokyo weather can switch suddenly. It wasn't just a theme park trip, but it reminded me of what Disney meant to a lot of people. So that's why I just felt like this whole Tokyo Disney trip was a really meaningful one. But also, I will make another story of how I even went to Tokyo Disney in the first place, and more of that story of my friend with disability in another video. But yeah, that will be like a separate video, by the way. But I will tell you, this Tokyo Disney was like one of my most memorable. But I also went to Tokyo Disney Sea, and that will be a separate video as well. But just keep in tune and I will tell you more about that. And I was just really happy because I don't think a lot of people experience Tokyo Disney very often. It's hard to travel nowadays. I got the opportunity to go, and I was really, 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 really happy. So let me know in the comments what you think about Tokyo Disneyland and if you found this video super helpful. And I hope you loved it. Follow for more because I post awesome tips, I post vlogs and all that jazz on this YouTube channel, and it's gonna be all Disney and theme parks and everything, and I know you guys are gonna love it because I hope it gives you value. I want you guys to join this journey, and thanks everyone! Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next one!